Hi, in today's video, I'm going to walk through my frequent flyer database system project. Let's start by looking at the server-side component I've developed. First, I have my login servlet called login.java. This servlet handles the authentication process for users of my frequent flyer app. And now, let me show you how this servlet works in practice. I'll test it using some samples from my database. Okay. So first, let's try accessing the servlet with username jsmith and password 100. Okay. And here we can see the result, yes, 1. This means the login was successful and the passenger ID for jsmith is 1. Let's try another one. Username jdoe with password 101, and we get yes 2. Again, the login was successful with passenger ID 2 for jdoe. And let's try something wrong. Okay, the result is simply no. This correctly shows that the login failed because the credit. Next, I'll explain the info.jsp file, which is one of the key JSP components on the server side. So this file gets passengers' information based on their ID, takes a passenger ID as an input, and returns that passenger's name and their total points separated by a comma. And let me demonstrate with our test users. Okay, so for jsmith, when I call info.jsp where PID is equal to 1, I get John Smith 10,000, which means this passenger's name is John Smith and he has 10,000 points. Let's try another one. For jdoe, when I call info.jsp where PID is equal to 2, I get Jane Doe, 3200. So Jane Doe has 3200 points in her account. And this component is used in the Android app to display user information after the login. So next, let's look at flights.jsp file. Okay, so this JSP gets all flights for a given passenger ID, including the flight ID, miles, and destination. The results are formatted with commas separating the data field and hash symbol separating different flights. And let's test this with our users. Okay, for jsmith, when I call flight.jsp where PID is equal to 1, I get this. So this shows that jsmith has 3 flights. 1 to London, 1 to Paris, and 1 to Tokyo. So this component is used to display a list flights for the logged in users. Now let's check flight details JSP file. Okay, so this JSP takes a flight ID as a parameter and returns detailed information about that flight, including its departure time, arrival time, flight miles, and any associated trips with their miles. The result follows the same formatting convention as before, with commas separating data fields and hash symbols separating different records. So let's test this using one of our flights. Okay, for flight FL001, when I call flight details JSP where flight ID is equal to FL001, I get this. Okay, so this output shows that flight 001 departs on March 10th, 8 a.m. and arrives March 15th, 3:30 p.m. or 3,500 miles and has 2 trips. So this component is used in the Android app to display detailed information. When a user selects a specific flight, it shows the information. So next, let's look at award ID's JSP file. Okay, I guess this is too small. Okay, so this JSP gets all distinct award IDs that a passenger has redeemed. The query specifically looks at the redemption history table and filters by the passenger ID. And let's test this with our users. Okay, so for J Smith, when I call word IDs JSP where PID is equal to 1, I get 1 and 10. So this means J Smith has redeemed two awards with IDs 1 and 10. So this component is used to populate drop-down menu of award IDs that user can select to view detailed information. Now I'll explain redemption details JSP file, which provides detailed information about an award redemption for a specific passenger and award ID. Okay, so it takes two parameters, an award ID and passenger ID. It joins three tables to get detailed information about an award redemption, and let's test this with one of J Smith's awards. Yep, this one. Okay, so for J Smith, when I call redemption details JSP file where award ID is equal to 1 and PID is equal to 1, we get this. So this shows that J Smith redeemed an economy class ticket to any domestic destination award, which required 5,000 points on February 15th at New York Center. So it is used to display detailed information about a selected award. Now I'll explain get passengers IDs JSP file, which gets all passenger IDs from the database, excluding the current passenger. So initially I wasn't completely sure why this component was needed, but as I developed the Android app, its purpose became kind of clear. So it is used to populate spinners with other passenger IDs when the logged in user need to select another passenger, like for point transfers. So it takes passenger's ID as a parameter and returns all other passenger IDs in the database. And let's test it with J Smith. Okay, so as you can see, it shows all passenger IDs in the database except for one. Okay, so finally, let's check the transfer point JSP file. Okay, so this handles the point transfer between passengers. This is one of the most complex JSP file because it involves updating the database rather than just reading from it. So let's test it by transferring 100 points from J Smith to J Doe. Oh yeah, before that, let me show you the current point status of J Smith and J Doe. So J Smith has 10,000 points and J Doe has 3,200 points. So if John Smith sends 100 points to Jane Doe, John Smith's points should be 9,900 points, and Jane Doe points should be 3,300 points. Doing right, yeah. So looks like I don't have it here. Transfer points 1 to 200. Okay, so it shows transfer successful, 100 points transferred from passenger 1 to passenger 2. And if we go back and check the status again, so John Smith total points decreased and Jane Doe total points increased. So this main activity is the login screen. It has input fields for username, password, and login button. When the user enters credentials and clicks login, the app makes a request to the login servlet, which earlier. If the login is successful, the app navigates to main activity 2, passing the passenger ID and username as extras So I've implemented network communication using the Volley library, which provides a convenient way to make HTTP requests. So let's move on to main activity 2, which displays the user's information after login and all the buttons. So this is my main activity 2, which is the main screen users see after logging in. This activity displays the user's information and provides buttons to navigate to other parts of the app. And this is like the home or main for the application when the user logs in. And it displays, let's see, a welcome message with the username and the user's profile pictures loaded from Apache server, the user's current point balance, and lots of buttons to navigate. And this activity makes two network requests, and one is info.jsp to get the user's name and points, and another one is to load the user profile pictures. And I also implemented the unresume method to refresh the user's point balance whenever they return to the screen, which is important for showing up to date information after point transfers. And I also made sign out button as well. And let's move on to main activity 3, which displays the user's flight. This is my main activity 3, which displays all of a user's flights. This is where users can see a list of all your flights at a glance, and this activity makes a request to flight.jsp file to get all the flights for the current user. For each flight, it creates a layout displaying the flight ID, destination, and miles earned. And the back button simply finishes the activity, returning the user to main activity 2. And let's move on to main activity 4, which shows detailed information about specific. Main activity 4 displays detailed information about a specific flight. This activity uses a spinner to let the user select from their flights and then displays the corresponding details. And it makes two types of HTTP requests. So first, it calls flights.jsp file to get list of flight IDs that belong to the user and populates the spinner with them. And then when the user selects a flight ID from the spinner, it calls flight details.jsp file to get information about that flight. And the detailed flight information includes departure date and time, arrival date and time, flight miles, and any associated trips. Now let's look at main activity 5. It displays the award details for user. This activity shows information about awards that a user has already redeemed. And this activity first loads the award IDs for the current user from award IDs JSP file, and then displays them in a drop down spinner. When the user selects an award ID, it makes a request to redemption details JSP file to get the details of that award redemption, and the details include descriptions, points required, redemption dates, and exchange center name. Finally, main activity 6, which allows user to transfer their points to other passengers. And first, it shows the available points for the current user. We do that by calling get available points right after the activity starts. And inside that method, we send a request to info.jsp using Volley, and once we get the response, we parse the points and display them. Next, we load the list of the passengers into the drop-down spinner. And we do this in the load passenger IDs method. Load, where is it? Okay. And yeah, and it calls get passenger IDs JSP and splits the response and fills the spinner. Then the user can enter how many points they want to send. Right here. Okay. And after the input, when they click the transfer button, what happens is gotta check some input. We need some validation. So yeah, we first check if they entered the number and if valid number, if they have enough points and stuff like that, and then we send the requests to transfer points JSP file, and if successful, we refresh the points and clear the inputs, and finally we display the result in the text view. And I'll do quick demonstration of a running app. Before that, I gotta clear some cache. The device, wipe data, yes, and exit. My database is running, and shut down. Start up. Okay, my Apache server is running, and let's run the Android Studio. Okay. It may take some time to rebuild everything. Okay. All right, so now we see the first login page. I'll first go with John Smith. What? Password. Password. 100. Yep, login successful. Okay. Welcome. As you can see, there is welcome message with the username, picture, current points, buttons, my flights, flight details, or details, transfer points, sign out. Okay. Okay. So my flights. Okay. it shows all the flight's info. It's like flight's history. Shows destination, miles, nice, and back. Or details. This is basically like redemption history. All the infos, points used, and redemption date, exchange center, and have a spinner. Okay, good, great. Go back. Transfer points. Okay, so available points, spinner. You can select any IDs about user ID, PIDs. Before that, let's check the Jane Doe. So remember this point and sign out. Jane Doe. Okay, so points 3,000. So Jane Doe is going to send, let's say, 500 points to John Smith. 500 points. One. Okay, transfer. And points change. Nice toast message. And nice. You can only input positive integers. No negative inputs, or let's say if I do like this, if there's no input, it says please enter points to transfer, and a large number, it says not enough points available. Nice. And let's go back to John Smith and check the points. What is it? Okay. So as you can see, John Smith's current point has increased. So transaction was successful. And what else I have to show? Maybe other person. Okay, so Johnson, password 2. Okay, it's got 1 point. That's sad. Let's say he wants to just give everything, even it out to make 0. He decided to send 1 point to Jane Doe. Okay. Thank you. Awesome. Let's check Jane Doe. Okay. Now she got extra 1 point. Alright. Awesome. Thank you for watching my video. And well, thank you.